month when Northampton stormed Ravenhill, fueled by fear and a desperate desire for revenge. For some reason, was it subconscious, Ulster looked as if the grey cells were not quite gelling. Well, they must gel tonight. Against the Saints, Ulster made 21 handling errors, Northampton thundered, and Ulster were humbled at home. And Andrew Trimble, in his 150th appearance for Ulster tonight, leads the side out to the usual tumultuous roar.
Yeah, fantastic serving Andrew Trimble, and isn't it fantastic? He can swap wings there for the injured Tommy Bowe, and Ulster can call upon Craig Gilroy to come in. Such experience as well, and Rory Best up front, but for me, Paddy Jackson is the future not only of Ulster rugby but of Irish rugby as well. He's still learning his craft, but in these wet conditions, his ability to play territory will be absolutely key this evening. Paddy Wallace outside him is an ideal foil, and inside him, obviously, Ruan Pienaar, who gives him his fly half a certain armchair ride. He has a box seat, but it's important that he responds to this crowd.
Well, that painful loss to Northampton here in round 4 should have focused the collective Ulster mind. A victory tonight is simply essential. While the early hysterical noises off that greeted Ulster's long winning run will become nothing more than distant, haunting echoes. Referee from France tonight, Pascal Gauzère, who's given out more yellow cards than he's actually refereed Heineken Cup matches. Bit of a card sharp, the Cincinnati Kid of referees. And it's Duncan Weir who gets us underway in the drizzle here at Ravenhill, and Paddy Jackson takes it cleanly and launches one long. Josh Strauss is back there. He's shaved the beard a little bit for his wedding a couple of weeks ago. It used to be a massive thicket, and talking of massive, here is Nick Williams, 6 man of the match awards already this season in the league. Pienaar looking for the box kick, gets a lot of height on it, drifts it infield, and the first mistake of the night by Duncan Weir. The advantage here to Ulster as Lewis Stevenson finds Chris Henry, and Darren Cave goes down on the ball, and the referee will bring them back. And of course the error count could be very significant in these conditions.
Well, this could be very, very interesting. The conditions obviously dictating, but in this man here, the number 8, Nick Williams, he fielded the ball well, shrugged off the attempted tackles by Glasgow, but undoubtedly the knock-ons, first of all from Weir, and then a spill of the ball there from Darren Cave. Well, it'll be interesting to see how many handling errors are littering this game throughout.
Well, he's been tremendous for Ulster, Nick Williams. He played under Mark Anscombe, the new Ulster coach, at North Harbour. His spell at Munster certainly wasn't as successful as his one here in Belfast. John Afoa, the World Cup winning New Zealand tight head.
It's correct, okay? No waiting, okay?
Well, Ulster won 19-8 in Scotstoun in round 2. 1 try by Chris Henry. And since those two met in Glasgow, the Warriors have lost home and away to Castres, but only by an aggregate margin of 5 points. So they should be considerable in terms of their competitive nature tonight in this game. And matches between these two sides are usually tight. Ulster's scrum has been very powerful this season, but they concede the first penalty in that set piece. And of course, Glasgow have been quite noted this season in that area too.
Going down, 3 right.
John Afoa, it looked as though Afoa might have slipped actually. He was cleaning his studs on the back of that scrum. But Massimo Katita, the Scotland forwards scrummaging coach, he goes across Edinburgh and to Glasgow to do a lot of scrummaging work. And this Glasgow team, well, they played particularly well in the last Heineken Cup game. You can just see, well, in actual fact, Afoa's studs actually slipped from under him, so Glasgow were fortunate to get that penalty.
Yeah, it's interesting that Glasgow and Edinburgh do share the same scrummage coach in Massimo Katita. And of course, the interim Scotland forwards coach is sitting just behind us, Dean Ryan. Dougie Hall, and up goes Harley, Rob Harley, who the Scotland selectors, I'm sure, are looking at, especially with the injury to John Barclay, who badly damaged a hamstring against Castro while scoring a try. And that's Josh Strauss, who just pops the ball on there. Here's Pyrgos, and this is James Eddy into the back row. Turgos goes in, but was there a little fumble off the fingers there? There was, and the scrummage goes to the Ulster side.
Look on blue, scrum white.
Yeah, Burgos goes in, but there's a stray leg that delays the boot. Sorry, delays the ball. Here we go. There's a little boot that comes in. Was that an Ulster leg I see there? Chris Henry.
Well, Tom Court on the loosehead side, he's been Mr. Angry since he was left out of the Irish squad and Dave Kilcoyne came in. Against Leinster, he turned Michael Bent into his surname. Really crushed him. And look at the drive coming in there from that Ulster scrummage. And Mr. Angry was at his work again with his great ally, Rory Best, alongside him.
Yeah, a real response there from the opening scrum. Ulster maybe felt aggrieved in the first penalty that it appeared that John Afoa had slipped in the engagement, and on that occasion undoubtedly power that came on from the Ulster 8. Look at the engagement once again, the loose head on this near side. It's up on the tight side. There's the power that comes through. And Glasgow buckle.
Well, he is determined to add to his 29 cap count, Tom Court. And with play like that, he might just succeed. That's taken by Robbie Dyack. And here's Pienaar for Jackson, looking for the step, looking for the gap.
It's okay, it's okay. No! No! Back.
Pienaar topping it off to the forward runners. Pienaar goes in again. Here is Paddy Jackson and Jared Payne carrying that groin injury. Chips it through for Gilroy to chase Murchie's back there. Glasgow defence under all sorts of pressure as James Eddy goes back to help his fullback.
Use it!
Turgos. The first significant cries of Ulster from this capacity crowd, and the cries are rewarded with a kickable penalty.
Stay on your feet, okay?
Glasgow not staying on their feet there. Now, Paddy Jackson missed 2 from 7 against the Saints, so Ruan Pienaar is going to be taking the kicks. But Jared Payne, him getting through the 80 minutes is very important to Ulster tonight because they haven't got a fullback replacement.
Yeah, he's a good footballer, though. Not only does he use the ball well in his speed, his hands, his awareness, the little grubber kick. You don't see a lot of grubber kicks that go in these days. Glasgow kept the ball alive through their fullback, Peter Murchie, and James Eddy did well, but suddenly pressure on that Glasgow defence. Murray Lowe went over the top of the ruck, sealed off the ball, and as a result gives away the penalty.
Well, Pienaar took over the kicks against Leinster after Jackson missed 2 from 3. Pienaar then landed 4 from 5 and 6 from 6 against the Scarlets. So Pienaar has been in brilliant form off the kicking tee, and that form continues at Ravenhill. Remember, Glasgow have lost all 4 pool games so far. They've lost their last 6 in the Heineken Cup. You have to go back to an away draw on Montpellier last December for the last time Glasgow avoided defeat. And this is taken by Dougie Hall, very experienced Scottish international.
Look on white.
Another knock forward, and it'll be a Glasgow scrummage this time.
He's such a great striker of the ball, isn't he, Pienaar? You almost expected the Ravenhill crowd to will this one over. And look at the conditions, the rain teeming down. The Bradley Wiggins there on the side. Just lacking a little bit of length, I think.
Crutch. Touch. Set.
Cork gets a drive on there again early, but Pyrgos gets the ball away to Duncan Weir. And that's good defence by Paddy Jackson in the 10 shirt for Ulster. Here's Sean Maitland, the Canterbury Crusader.
Release.
The man with Scottish grandparents. Here's Duncan Weir, diminutive out half. Rory Jackson, one of the injured 13 at Glasgow. This is James Eddy. And again, the Ulster defence is up very quickly, harrying all the time. Murchie and the crowd calling for the forward pass, and the referee right in line agrees with the Belfast 12,000.
You know, the one thing about Glasgow is they're very creative with Gregor Townsend. Watch the switch play that comes in. Oh, forward pass on that occasion from Peter Murchie. But it was the earlier possession, wasn't it, that brought Sean Maitland into a nice running angle.
And of course, Ulster were low on territory and possession at Franklin's Gardens, but they still managed to come away with a try bonus point against Northampton. To remind you that Northampton-Castres game running in tandem in the East Midlands, and we'll keep you up to date with what's happening there. That is obviously hugely significant. You feel the scrum is going to be hugely significant here tonight. Pienaar, the rain increases in intensity, and the ball is run into touch by Glasgow, and that is going to help Ulster, obviously.
Yeah, the Pienaar, the awareness there with a quick tap and go. Watch him, he was sharp as attack, knew where the space was, ping one down the tram lines, and Murchie didn't have any other option. It's all about territory, isn't it? And Ulster are playing the territory game through that man there, Rohan Pienaar.
Well, he's been an absolutely epic signing for this Ulster side, of course, Pienaar. Remember, Ulster have lost their main line-out caller and captain, Johan Muller, and Dan Tuohy, who took over that role. But it goes to Ian Henderson. Here's Nick Williams. Penalty, and there's a jersey pull there, so Ulster are penalised. It was Chris Henry who was caught red-handed, the man from the Red Hand province.
7 wide.
Well, we saw earlier on Chris Henry getting a foot on the ball as Henry Pagos tried to get a ball out an early one. Chris Henry again just tugging on the jersey as the wraparound move went down that blind side. Well, we thought it was raining earlier on. It's absolutely teeming it down now.
Dougie Hall, 39 caps for Scotland. And he finds Tom Ryder. He's been capped by Scotland as well, and was in the Celtic Dream Team last season. Tom Ryder, the former Saracen. Oh, there's some height on that box kick from Pyrgos. Amazing stuff. Trimble comes in, can't gather.
First, never you want to catch a ball, okay?
Now a penalty against Glasgow. And Paddy Jackson with the kick, and finds decent yardage down that far touchline. Of course, field position, controlling territory is going to be so important tonight.
Tremendous kick. Watch Dietrich van der Merwe, though. He doesn't even have his eye on the ball. That's why he took Trimble out, because he hadn't a clue where the ball was. So poor effort there by the Canadian.
Rory Best, up goes Lewis Stevenson, but good interference work there by Glasgow. Ulster, though, have managed to recover, and here's Pienaar, John Afoa, the Hirsute tight head. In goes Pienaar, and it's Paddy Wallace, the sense of a hole here. Darren Cave in support. Ulster clear out quickly, driven on by Tom Court, trying to twist his body so we can get the ball back on the Ulster side. But yet another knock on, and so difficult to hold on to the pill tonight in these conditions as they deteriorate rapidly again.
Well, at the head of the game, Dean Ryan was mentioning earlier on about how important the two number 8s to each team. Watch this tackle by Josh Strauss. Just as Tom Court took the ball in here, Pienaar got quick ball, Court goes in. Watch the way Strauss targeted the ball, drove the Irishman back, turned over the ball. Excellent defensive play there from the Glasgow number 8.
Josh Strauss, who captained the Lions side that won the Currie Cup against the Sharks in 2011. before arriving in Scotland.
Okay? He's outside.
I hear the wife made him trim the beard. If you remember him from the Currie Cup, it was an absolutely massive growth he had in his chin.
Touch! Set!
Turgos feeds. Again, Ulster trying to get the drive on at scrum time and putting a lot of pressure on the Glasgow back row as a result, but they've recovered well. This is Ali Kellogg, their talismanic skipper. 7th season as captain of Glasgow. Turgos downfield, and it's Craig Gilroy underneath it. Again, using that aerial route in these conditions, and Gilroy chasing it. And also going to be penalised here on the floor.
11.
And it's Gilroy who has pinged.
11 off the feet.
Craig Gilroy there, who scored a try in his Ireland debut against Argentina.
Well, Craig Gilroy fielded the ball well there, followed up his kick, but it got himself into an awkward situation, having made the tackle. Chris Henry there, it was Gilroy who then just came right over the top. He's off his feet, he's trying to seal off ball, he's playing the ball on the ground, quite rightly penalised.
Dougie Hall feeds, Harney goes up. This is Ryan Grant. It's been an excellent form in that loose head shirt for Glasgow, and of course for Scotland too. Round the corner through James Eddy come Glasgow, and again they're making ground there. Here is Weir, and now it's Alex Dunbar, 16 stones of centre, taking the ball on. Ryder. Now, did he knock the ball on in contact there? He has done. Ulster get the scrummage, and to say it's slippery is a massive understatement now.
Well, the frustration shown over Tom Ryder there. Just takes the ball, and it's the responsibility now of the players to realise when they hit the contact, they've got to protect the ball. We saw Tom Court take the ball in against the tackle of Josh Strauss earlier, and on that occasion it was Ryder who spilt the ball. As you can see from these slow-mo motion replays, look at the rain, it's absolutely coming down. Gregor Townsend looks on, he's well wrapped up there. Alongside him to his left, Matt Taylor.
Shane Monroe with him, the forwards coach up there somewhere, and he's been put in charge of the Scotland A team for this season. Well, I think they've only got the one game. There he is to the right, or our left, looking at those pictures, but Gregor Townsend's right. 2 along, to be precise. It's an impressive front row for Glasgow, despite all their injuries. Murray Lowe, Dougie Hall and Ryan Grant, over 50 Scottish caps between them.
Yeah, Murray Lowe appeared to be under pressure from Court in the previous scrum. There he is again, straight up, should be a penalty.
Scott Hastings, the new scrum guru.
Well, I've been speaking to a few prop forwards recently, but the pressure's certainly coming on through Tom Court, and Murray Lowe under pressure at the tight head for Glasgow.
3 blue, blue 3. 2 penalty against you, okay?
Of course, one of these props for Glasgow is going to have to last the full 80 minutes because they've only got one extra prop on the bench due to those ARC regulations, which is Gordon Reid. And I'm sure neither side wants this game to go uncontested. And again, it's Robbie Dyack who takes that ball on the line out. And Pienaar preparing himself for the box kick. It's a very technical skill, the box kick. and Pienaar does it so brilliantly. Great hang time. Here's Cave, the chip through, the chasers are there for Ulster. Trimble is one of them, back there goes Pyrgos, and soccer style sweeps away the danger.
Well, a tale of the two scrum halves here with Ruan Pienaar first of all. Up and under, the chase was good from Ulster. And what about this? There's the space. But come across Pyrgos like any good covering scrum half. Excellent play by the Glasgow 9, but Ulster now with pressure on.
Stay on the line.
And the throw here from Rory Best.
Stay at 10.
The chasing Trimble just eased off the ball slightly as well there. It's Nick Williams who takes the ball, and off goes Dyack, and Dyack gets quite a long way before he's stopped by the Glasgow defence, and Pienaar snooping around, seeing where the options are. This is Chris Henry, who scored the only try for Ulster in the reverse fixture in Scotstoun, which was played in similar conditions. Oh, and there he goes again, Nick Williams. It's like a hammer hitting a meringue when he rushes at defences. He is impossible to stop.
Donne-moi une raison pour pas accorder l'essai.
Well, the referee, Pascal Gozer, is going upstairs to Hervé Dubez. The question important, any reason why I cannot award this try?
Well, absolutely none at all. Either he had a bit of rain on his contact lenses, but Williams was perfectly over the line, perfectly grounded. Try time for Ulster, and Ravenhill will explode once again.
Wait. Try.
Well, unbelievably almost, that is Nick Williams' 7th try of the season for Ulster, and he does treat the opposition like rumble strips.
For such a large man, he's so difficult to stop from that close range.
Comes after 20 minutes, scored by number 8 for Ulster, Nick Williams.
It's a massive hit that comes on from Williams there, isn't he? He's so influential. Shrugs off the attention of Rob Harley wearing the number 7 jersey for Glasgow.
A Southern Hemisphere try. Can there be an additional 2 from a Southern Hemisphere scrum half? There certainly can, and Ulster now all of a sudden looking comfortable at 10 points to 0 at the end of the first quarter. And Mark Anscombe will be delighted with that, the way his side have played these conditions. It all came from a wonderful box kick, and some of the aerial work from Ulster so far has been absolutely sublime. Josh Strauss. Here's Peter Murchie. Can he get outside? Gilroy, he can't. And again, it's swarming work from the white shirts. That's excellent. Here is Darren Cave. Andrew Trimble is off after this one. They've got to be precise in defence again. Have Glasgow. And that was good defending by Dunbar. Gosh, he had to take that one. There was no margin for error there, here in the pouring rain. This is Jackson. Good footwork from Paddy Jackson. Pienaar using his skipper, Chris Henry. Pienaar once again finds his 10. A suspicion there maybe of a forward pass from Paddy Jackson, and the referee agrees. Just the latest score update from Franklin's Gardens, 3 points apiece. So the plot is bubbling there, and it's certainly bubbling here. As it stands, Ulster 5 points clear of Castres, and of course they go to Castres, Pierre Stade Antoine, for their round 6 game next week. And Ulster, of course, would much prefer to go there without having to secure anything at all. Certainly not a victory, because Ulster have never won a Heineken Cup game in France. So at the moment they're on target with the scoreboard looking as it is right now.
Well, Mark, the difference between the two teams is the way that Ulster are playing the territory. Look at Nick Williams' follow-up here. Absolutely nails Sean Maitland, and it was from this Chris Hendry pass that Williams was up in the 22, shrugged off the tackle there in the back of Rob Harley and goes over for the try. So, but all the errors have been created from the great follow-up work from Ulster.
Trudge. Touch. Set.
Turgos picked up by Strauss. This is
Hold
Weir.
one.
Across comes Jared Taine. I wonder, is he protecting that groin?
Move back.
And it's taken by Weir. Goes back to Craig Gilroy. Craig Gilroy, was he caught just slightly late by Duncan Weir? Play goes on. Josh Strauss again, number 8. Filling the space, the crowd baying once more for a forward pass.
Stop.
The ball is smashed away downfield by Sean Maitland, and it's the response from Jackson. Turgos, well taken, turned his body away, but then lost the ball. Lewis Stevenson finds Dyack. A good handoff from Dyack, gets him an extra couple of metres. In goes Pinar, now Darren Cave. You've got to be so safe in terms of your grasping of the ball and possession. And up goes Ian Henderson. Jared Taine comes in, but surely it was knocked forward by Henderson as he tried to flap the ball down.
Well, we mentioned earlier on about the territory that Ulster are managing in this game, and another example of a great box kick and a follow-up here. Watch this from Ulster. Paddy Jackson, up he goes, and then on the inside you got Trimble putting pressure on. Up comes the tackle of Best as well. They're playing the conditions well. Glasgow are forcing the errors, and it's Ulster capitalising on the Glasgow errors.
Well, some of the kicking from Ulster has been forensic in its accuracy so far, and they are certainly benefiting from that. There he is, Ireland's most capped hooker, Rory Best, back after a neck injury, and so key to the power of this Ulster scrummaging unit.
Touch. Set.
Turgos, out comes Robbie Dyack, trying to cut down the option on the blind side.
Well, Murray Lowe seems to be under all sorts of pressure on this this side of the scrum with court. A couple of his Glasgow players are having a word with Murray Lowe. He's got to get himself into a position where he's scrummaging tight, trying to keep his opposite number, Tom Court, at bay. Otherwise, the Glasgow scrum are going to disintegrate.
And possession-wise, Ulster are rampant with 87% so far in the last 10 minutes, of course. This is Best. Dyack, I think that's the third line out he's taken. Very well indeed. Good throw from Best.
Use it.
Pinar pops it off to the pod. Pinar goes in behind Paddy Wallace, who was the decoy runner there. And here's Rory Best, man of the match in Scotstoun. Jackson, not afraid to move the ball, are they? And this is Gilroy. So dangerous. 3 tries against the Fijians in the non-camp international. And Ulster force the error at the breakdown from Glasgow, and they give away another penalty from a kickable position.
Well, we've been talking an awful lot about the kicking game from Ulster, but some of the handling has been so crisp in these conditions. Gilroy involved a couple of times. First of all, the throw in here from Rory Best. Great tape by Robbie Dyack, but it's the ability for Craig Gilroy to run off Jackson that gives this Ulster back division options. Just quick feet here, great show of the ball, confidence within there, and again the error that comes in as the Ravenhill faithful shout on.
Of
Quite a discussion point in Ireland this week. Shane Horgan and Tony Ward both suggesting that Ruan Pienaar should be the Ulster out half, with Paul Marshall at 9. But he's doing a pretty good job in the shirt he's in. So Pienaar 100% successful so far. That was close, but not close enough. So the first scoreboard ticking opportunity missed by Ulster.
Well, if Glasgow are going to have an influence within this game, they need to get on the scoreline next. Pienaar left them off the hook there. But it's territory, isn't it? Glasgow have got to get down into Ulster's 22 to try and get something on the scoreboard before half-time.
Being rather crushed tactically at the moment are Glasgow. Is Gilroy with that classic NFL-style spin of his that we're so used to seeing. Pienaar to Jackson, Robbie Dyack, and Rob Harley makes the tackle. Pienaar, Jackson, and that's Paddy Wallace. That's beautiful. Jackson assisting. Oh, turnover ball here for Glasgow. Henry Pyrgos. Now they will maybe get a little bit of territory in this game. Back there goes Paddy Wallace. Paddy Wallace in the full-back position. He's actually started there for Ulster in the past. Luke Marshall, remember, injured. He suffered a finger fracture last week against the Scarlets. And this is Pienaar, who clears away with some distance for Ulster.
Well, lovely loop-around move here with Jackson taking the wrap-around pass, just creating the space, but an uncharacteristic error actually that came off at the end of that movement. But the wrap-arounds between the two Paddies, Jackson to Wallace, and the old head playing in the centre. A great foil, as I mentioned earlier on, just can release a little bit of pressure for Paddy Jackson by the way Wallace plays off him, and also release some of the kicking duties.
Dougie Hall finds his captain. Pyrgos, a dinky little chip by Pyrgos. It does land on the grass as well, into a bit of space, but can Ulster counter here now through the pace and trickery of Gilroy? Pienaar giving himself so much room with the kick, and there's nobody back there for Glasgow at all. There's acres of turf for Peter to put the ball into, and there's no better man at reading situations than the Springbok. Duncan Weir clears for Glasgow. And Ulster might think about going quickly here. It's Trimble. And now Jackson looking to use those hands. Jared Payne, beautiful runner with ball in hand. He proved it there. Here's Cave. Now it's Gilroy. Brilliant by Gilroy. One supporting player might have been enough for Ulster there. And here's Pienaar. Can they get the right option here? It's Nick Williams, a try already. Right underneath those posts, the hands come in, but it's legal from DTH van der Merwe. And Glasgow have succeeded in a really dangerous situation of turning the ball over. And then there's the semi-charge down, and away come Glasgow. A frenetic spell. And now here's Gilroy again, using that spin of his. Frenetic stuff. Pienaar, Nick Williams once more, bashing away as only he can. Pienaar, Dyack straightens into the heart of that Glasgow defence. James Eddy brings him down. Is this the opportunity now out wide? Crisp handling, and it could have been a second try for Ulster, but on that occasion they were let down. The advantage is over. He was playing it the Glasgow way, so Ulster have to start again. Exhausting chase back, and here's Jared Payne, and Payne's going to get caught here, and Ulster forwards managed to wrap around him quickly enough. Jackson. Ooh, and he hasn't caught any of that, has he? Pyrgos. And he sees a bit of space in behind the Ulster defence. Back goes Nick Williams. Oh, Nick Williams fires the ball towards Craig Gilroy. Up comes Pyrgos. And a sense of harry-carry about that from the Ulster defence, causing themselves some problems. And the cool head of Pienaar is there at the right time.
Well, Ruan Pienaar somehow brings some sense and sensibility into the end-to-end play from both teams. Just making a mockery of the conditions. The way the pass came here, there from Payne onto Gilroy. He almost unhooked his winger there into the try line, but magnificent defence that came in from Glasgow. And then a bit of madness here there from Nick Williams this time. Throws the ball inside. Gilroy was there to cover up. Pyrgos put him under pressure, but Williams went back, sealed off, and eventually Ulster cleared their lines.
Well, a bit of a mix-up the line out. It was Ali Kellogg who knocked the ball on. This is Pienaar. Yet another box kick. In goes Duncan Weir. Up comes Chris Henry. And Henry makes the tackle on Murchie. Here is Duncan Weir. And it's taken by DTH van der Merwe. 8 tries in the Rabo this season. Just 3 behind Tim Visser. So the Scotsmen, or players from Scottish regions, at the top of the try-scoring charts, and Ulster giving away the penalty at the breakdown here. And Tom Court, I think, is the man who's penalised.
Off the feet at the beginning, and your feet after.
Well, Court with a bit of marmalade on his forehead there, and Duncan Weir. Well, Glasgow, I said a few minutes ago that Glasgow have to take something out this first half. But what about Ulster? There's an urgency, there's a vibrancy within their game. Here we see the prop forward, Tom Court, just going in, sealing off ball. And as a result, Glasgow have got an opportunity to nail 3 points back through the boot of Duncan Weir. But just going back to Ulster, they're making a mockery of the conditions with some of their play, their territory, their awareness of the ball. Jackson's controlling the things well, Pienaar's playing well, Nick Williams handling the ball well. It's been a real team effort from this Ulster team.
So Duncan Weir, 73% is his success rate in the Rabo this season. It's got a low trajectory, but too low. Can't have been too far away from Duncan Weir there. Oh, it was close.
But the minute he struck it, you knew that it was like the old water in those leather balls that used to play here at Ravenhill. Didn't quite have the legs that time.
I remember you using one. Oh, and that was opened the rib cage up there. And that is going to be an infringement for a knock forward. Peter Murchie, the Glasgow fullback, who was in the autumn international training squad.
Yeah, Peter Murchie, interesting enough, he went for that overhead loop pass. He tried to get his hands over the top of the attempted tackle. Watch here, ball in 2 hands. Here he comes, the 2-on-1, over he goes to try and throw. Well, it's a difficult pass at the best of times, but he'd sucked in his opposite number, Jared Payne. There was an overlap to be had for DTH van der Merwe, and that in itself tells a story.
Crutch, touch, set. You push before.
An early engagement there, early push from Glasgow, says the referee, Pascal Gauzère. And again, you can see the Ulster tactic tonight. It's very clear, and it's forced another error, Murchie. And he's done well to regather that. And then a good drive by Glasgow. Duncan Weir. Paddy Jackson in the centre of the field this time.
Hold 5.
Now, is DTH van der Merwe going to get a chance for a decent run here this evening? But he's given the ball away to Ruan Pienaar. Not a good idea. But it's a forward pass.
Well, some of the kicking has been a little bit aimless. DTH van der Merwe not nailing that one. And Pienaar, again, he just reads immediately where the space is. But Nick Williams was unable to hang on to the ball.
you. Come here.
Well, Glasgow met Ulster in the first league game of the season here, losing 18 points to 10, but there's Johan Muller, one of the injured players, out with a fractured arm. Hopefully will be back in maybe 4 to 6 weeks. Injured it against Northampton at Franklin's Gardens, and he connected with Jamie Elliott. Here's Pyrgos, beautiful break down that blind side. Now, was he caught late there? The answer is a very, very positive yes from the referee.
Well, the flag's out on the far side. Words here from the French judge to the referee.
Juste pénalité.
Was that just a penalty or just a penalty?
No, that's French for just a penalty.
Okay, I'm glad you
It's a
know
late
French.
tackle after he kicks the ball, okay? Just penalty, be careful, okay?
Well, Trimble came right in and made his tackle. Pyrgos went down the alley. Well, the tackle really wasn't on. He was pretty committed though, Trimble. Just a penalty. And Duncan Weir will have another opportunity, and Alistair Kellett has words with the Irish international winger, playing his 150th game in the Heineken Cup. Sorry, 150th game for Ulster. I know we've got Ronan O'Gara on 107 Heineken Cup appearances, but even Andrew Trimble's not that super.
Well, let's see how super Duncan Weir can be this time. He had that low, punchy trajectory with his earlier effort. This one, a lot closer. Oh, was short the first time, and this time he's hooked it. So 2 opportunities missed for Glasgow, and you feel they cannot afford to chuck away too many chances to get points on this board.
No, you're absolutely right, and just my thoughts went back to the last game Glasgow played against Castra over in Castra in round 4. Rory Jackson had an opportunity to win that game with 2 minutes on the clock, and he hit the upright, and Glasgow can ill afford 2 penalties like that.
Another scruffy kick from Paddy Jackson, not the first in this game, and it's picked up by Ryan Grant. Pyrgos taken on by Dougie Hall. Pyrgos to his out half. Duncan Weir, and Andrew Trimble. He's always looking for those little intercepts, you know. He comes hammering into the line on the angle, and people, fans of Ulster at Ravenhill, have seen this time and time again.
Well, he absolutely read it. And the view that we had up here in the commentary position, well, you could see him standing on his wing and then coming in off his wing. Well, Duncan Weir,
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
The Glasgow fly half, has to be aware of the fact that there's a tendency for the Ulster players to fly up in that line, and perhaps an option to try and get behind, delay the pass with a second wave running line.
Touch. Set. Early engagement, 1.
Early engagement by Tom Court. Pyrgos looking to take it quickly, but he's well, he knocked it on, but he's going to get an, oh no, he isn't going to get another chance. The knock-on is given by the officials.
Early engagement, yeah.
Well, the scrum half, watch him here, doesn't keep an eye on it. Well, there'll be words by Gregor Townsend. They're not out of this game, Glasgow, but it has been Ulster's half.
Touch. Set.
Pienaar feeds. Will Ulster look to add to their total, or will Pienaar put the ball out of play? No, Ulster do keep it in. Trying to push Glasgow back again. Murchie with the clearing kick. In comes Paddy Jackson. And Jackson spears the ball out of play on the full, and that means it is the end of the first half here at Ravenhill. And Ulster have been tactically very cute indeed in that first half. 1 try, a real bludgeoning effort there from Nick Williams, and it's Ulster 10, Glasgow 0.
And for large parts of the first half, it was the home side who were doing pretty well, mastering the conditions, mastering the situation as well. And as Mark was saying, in Nick Williams, they have got the star of the show so far. His big hit, and he followed it up to score as well. But Glasgow only 10 down and by no means out of it. We'll analyse what's gone on so far and give you an update from Franklin's Gardens as well when we come back.
Outstanding performance, driven by passion. Amlin Insurance sponsors rugby union on Sky Sports.
Gary's cat is missing.
Excuse me, I'm sorry to bother you. Have you seen my cat?
Hang on, you don't know Gary, do you? Well, don't worry then. You can forget about things that don't affect you, like with a new Peugeot 208. You can forget car insurance. It's covered for 3 years. So is all this. Only with the Just Add Fuel finance package. And if you do know Gary, still don't worry. His cat goes missing all the time. Drive away happy with Just Add Fuel, only from Peugeot.
We'll give new parents £10,000 free life cover until baby's first birthday. We'll get you home safely, if your car can't.
There's somebody downstairs.
Don't worry, we'll be with you in 2 hours to secure your home. If you're diagnosed with cancer, we'll arrange experienced, dedicated support.
Ah, lovely.
And when you're about to retire, our expert online guidance can help you make the most of your money. When the big things happen in life, little things matter.
I'm a hopeless romantic, and I figured once I joined eHarmony that the sky's the limit. I got to really think about myself and what I like and what I want. When eHarmony takes all this data and spills out that this is your profile and just gives me who I can work with, I think it's pretty accurate. Once you feel love is possible, then anything's possible.
Join eharmony.co.uk today and review your matches for free.
At American Express, we go above and beyond. Impossible? It's 2 letters too long. American Express. Realise the potential.
Netflix is an amazing new way to watch as many films and TV episodes as you want, instantly. You can watch on your TV, through a game console, or other devices connected to the internet. And it's only £6 a month. Start your free trial today.
They say we're all born with 2 fears, loud noises and falling. Everything else we pick up along the way. Scary stuff like spiders, clowns, getting a new job. One of the most common, that, new jobophobia. The thing is with fear, the more you dwell on it, the worse it gets. Just upload your CV to JobSite. Do it now. Only takes 10 minutes.
JobSite. Our job is searching for your job.
Boo.
As I walk down the street, seems everyone I meet gives me a friendly hello. I guess I'm just a lucky soul.
Saga Cruises. Book now to save up to 30%.
I'm Auntie Brenda. Are you in it? It's not a job. People pay me for it. Listen, I'll come straight to the point. I got no time for flighty northerners.
Auntie Brenda!
Oh, my lovely boy!
Treat.
Brenda, you know I love Stella, don't you?
You mess around with her head and a watch call, and you'll feel the wrath of my weft, good boy. Still, nice to meet you.
Stella returns with a brand new series. Starts tonight at 9, Sky 1 HD.
Your home of sport. Sponsored by Amlin Insurance.
half-time at Franklin's Gardens. As you can see, the fog is closing in, and with it, our Northampton's Heineken hopes disappearing as well. It is 6-all against Castra. 2 out of 2 for Stephen Myler, 2 out of 3 for the Castra scrum half, Rory Cockett. And that is not going to be enough for the Saints. First 40 is being watched by Farrell, Catton, Roundtree from the England management, and they will have seen an outstanding first half from Courtney Laws, but Saints have got to up their game in the second half. Ulster going well here at Ravenhill. They lead by 10-0 against Glasgow. The try from Nick Williams, converted by Ruben Pienaar. He's added a penalty as well. Duncan Weir has missed 2 pots at the posts for Glasgow. Just too many errors, you feel, for the visitors, but Ulster with a better handle on the situation and on conditions here tonight, Tyrone.
Well, Mark Anscombe before the game talked about doing the basics well, and that's what they've done. It's horrible here. I mean, it's hard to describe just how greasy the conditions are, but they've controlled the ball. They've had a fair amount of possession, but the key thing is where the possession's been on the pitch, and they've won the territorial game through the boot, and they've put pressure on Glasgow, and Glasgow have been very poor under the high ball. And if you drop a high ball, the one thing you can be sure of, there's another one coming your way, and they've just put pressure on Glasgow, and Glasgow have, I suppose, added to their own misfortune to a large extent.
Very difficult for themselves, haven't they?
Well, it's just a whole sequence of events. They can't stay in the kick contest because they keep making a mistake, and suddenly the field possession, we're talking 60, 70 metres, and then Ulster have got the capability when they're in field position, they can play a little bit of hands, and there's too much pressure, and it starts at scrum. Scrum is killing them. They get any sort of field position.
It was a good start from Glasgow, though, wasn't it?
Well, it gets them in the right areas of the field, but we talked about Murray Lowe's really struggling to keep Court out. You see his right-hand shoulder, he gets under and puts him across. That gives him the penalty, and then they move up, they get the high ball. It's trying there to turn him round, they just see it come through, and everything stems from there because your pressure on the kick becomes, much closer to you. Suddenly you can't get to the Ulster 10 on the other way round. So the quality of kick that comes towards you is much greater. And then when they've got in that situation, Glasgow have then compounded that error by not being able to deal with a high ball. And when you see the conditions, there's no real outlet. You can't start running from back there. You've got to try and sit in there and wait. But just giving up such cheap possession constantly.
And when you're talking about high balls, you said it would go up again, and Nick Williams on the rampage and finishing it off as well.
One thing Ulster have been talking about this week is the kick chase. They put Glasgow under pressure, and again, just turning them round. Great pressure again. A little bit of I suppose, Andrew Trimble getting taken out off the ball. But once you get into the situation, it's just about patience and composure. They've got big ballast. And the likes of Diak's had a big game, and Williams from that distance, he's beginning to scatter people when he gets the ball in his hands. But it started from the scrum, it then went up from a high ball from Pienaar, a good kick chase, pressure, putting it down there, and just too much for Glasgow.
If you put the side Ulster down there for 60, 70% of the half, the likes of Williams are going to score tries. It's almost a replica of the round 2 game. Same conditions, patience on the kick, and eventually Henry gets the driving line out. It's not pretty.
And Glasgow have missed their kicks, which is exactly the same as the first half over there as well. It's a complete...
And in some ways, even though when they've made their kicks, is the likes of Pienaar, they've been so much pressure, it's gone down, he's taken the fast one, and suddenly Ulster has shown some glimmer of handling in really poor conditions, and just keep them under pressure, wave after wave.
Let's have a look at some of the Glasgow errors that you guys have been talking about. I mean, how difficult is it to cut this out, Tyrone, when you're down and the game's going away from you?
Well, I think there's an element of once it starts, it just compounds itself. You knock the ball on, somebody makes a silly mistake, and it's almost like a virus that goes through the team. And when your opposition are putting you under serious pressure, it's a vicious circle, and they're trying to play too much rugby deep in their own territory. They need to get rid of that ball, and the first penalty came from that. They got turned over, there was a penalty. It's too much rugby in the wrong place of the pitch.
I think the key is when you lose confidence of staying in the kick tennis game, you start looking for other solutions, and you can see trying to lift the tempo, they're trying to play on an edge, and in these conditions you're playing into the hands of the defence. Reality now, I think Greg is going to be in the change room saying, look at the scoreboard, fellas. It's 10-0. We get one score on this, and suddenly they get some nerves jangling. So we may not be playing well, but all we've got to do is get field position, get back in this game, and create some pressure in the game.
But you do feel Ulster perhaps have laid the foundations. 10 to the good, in control, but by no means home. And with Northampton drawing with Castra at the moment, Pool 4 is going down to the final weekend. A huge 40 minutes for those sides. Still in the hunt for the quarterfinals, and both of them available for you in a couple of minutes' time.
Outstanding performance, driven by passion. Amlin Insurance sponsors Rugby Union on Sky Sports.
A massive great no-claims discount of 75%. That's what great driving could earn you with LV car insurance. But the savings don't stop there. Our multi-car offer means you and your partner could both save with your own NCDs and get extra multi-car discounts on top of that year after year. Talk multiple savings to our lovely people on 0800 723 723 or visit lv.com.
Hello, mate. How are you doing?
Every year, we bring over 20 million people and businesses together. It's how Britain stays connected.
Ah, the cruising's not really our kind of thing, couple. They know what they like, and they like what they know. Permission to come aboard. Mr. and Mrs. Couple, you may kiss the fun, your kind of fun, to infinity and beyond.
They say we're all born with two fears: loud noises and falling. Everything else we pick up along the way. Scary stuff like spiders, clowns, getting a new job. One of the most common, that, new jobophobia. The thing is with fear, the more you dwell on it, the worse it gets. Just upload your CV to JobSite. Do it now. Only takes 10 minutes.
JobSite. Our job is searching for your job.
Boo.
Robin van Persie! That's wonderful from Suarez. It's absolutely brilliant. Wilcox in again. He's scored again. To his try. It's a wonderful goal.
A Ford Super Sunday double. Sunday from 1. Sky Sports 1.
Your home of sport. Sponsored by Amlin Insurance.
As it stands, Pool 4 will come down to a battle between Castres and Ulster next weekend. Ulster will be in a very strong position, but the draw tonight for Northampton, no good. They have to find the win and a big second 40. Both games still there to be taken. And events at Franklin's Gardens just underway in the second half, so hit the red button for that one if you'd like to watch it. Currently 6-6 there, but here at Ravenhill, we're handing you back to Scott Hastings and Mark Robson.
Well, I wonder are the workmen of Belfast getting just a little bit worried, because Ulster, if they qualify for a home quarter final, well, they hope to have enough of Ravenhill completed to host a home quarter here in Belfast. They got to get the ground up to 15,000 capacity. When it's all finished, it'll be 18,000. But all may not be lost if Belfast is not the venue. Last season Ulster did win their quarter in Limerick and their semi in Dublin. And of course they won the Heineken Cup in Dublin in 1999, but there's no guarantees that Ulster will be at home in the quarterfinals or even in the quarterfinals at all. There's so much that can yet happen in this pool, especially if Castres win at Northampton and it stays like this in terms of match points at Ravenhill. That would set up a showdown in the southwest of France. Well, Ulster come into this game off the back of a 47-17 thumping of Scarlets. Nick Williams scored a try in that game as well. That was at Ravenhill. 5 second-half tries for Ulster. And they have had a habit this season in games, Ulster, of really kicking on in the second 40. Can they build, oh, did that go 10, on that 10-0 half-time lead? Or can Glasgow somehow, Scotty, punch back into this game?
Well, it'll be interesting being a fly on the wall in the Glasgow change room, what Gregor Townsend has said, but ultimately it's what Ulster did in the first half. It's all about territory. Can Glasgow get any territory and ascendancy in that Ulster half to put pressure on this Ulster defensive effort?
A few spanking and sparkling new white shirts on the Ulster men at half-time. And again, the high ball from Ulster, and it's Peter Murchie who takes it. And there's an offside here within the 10, and that's in a kickable position for Ulster right at the start in the first minute of this second half. Remember, Duncan Weir missed 2 penalties in the first half. Can Pienaar land this one, if in fact he does decide to go for the posts? And the answer to that is no. They are going to drill the ball into the corner. So interesting intent at the start of this second period by Ulster.
Well, James Eddy, the referee has penalised James Eddy, but I think it had been from the previous. Yeah, I think it had been from the previous infringement or start of the game there, where Edie had been in an offside position, hadn't retired behind, but didn't quite pick that one up.
So Rory Best, this needs to be a good line out from an Ulster perspective, and Lewis Stevenson just manages to get a paw to it. But there has been a knock on, and they put into Glasgow at this scrummage.
Gregor Townsend there, the head coach of Glasgow Rugby. And of course, Glasgow are second in the Rambo Pro 12 Direct League against Ulster, who are sitting pretty at the top of the table in the domestic.
11 points behind Ulster at the moment, or Glasgow, and in the Celtic, taken on by Josh Strauss, so that's a penalty. Looked like he was caught around the neck there as he trundled off the back of that scrummage.
Well, Mark, we heard the guys at half-time talk about very similar conditions to the round 2 game at Scotstoun. Missed penalties costing Glasgow dear, and Ulster in wet conditions dominating. I was here for the first game, and this is where the trouble has arisen for Glasgow in the scrum, under pressure. Strauss, though, tackled high by Robbie Dyack there. So Glasgow have got an opportunity just to relieve some of that early pressure from Ulster.
Dougie Hall finds Kellick. Ellie Kellick, 47 caps for the 6'9" second row forward. And that is a good drive by Glasgow. And the arm is out from the referee as Turgos goes high, but he's going to bring them back, and Ulster infringe.
You come through the gate, but you broke your bind and you go home, okay? Yeah, ready.
Well, you may have heard over the referee's mic, Alistair Kellogg, the skipper, pulling his side in on that particular drive, asking his Glasgow team to drive. Kellogg then took, they set up the drive with Ryder there at the head of it. Watch Alistair Kellogg shouting away his team. Court just spins in, there he is, the white jersey of Tom Court, span into an offside position. And again, Glasgow with another line-out throw, and they set and drive again.
Taken well by Harley. Can Glasgow build a bit of pressure on this Ulster side in the second half? something that was definitely missing in the first 40 minutes. And there's their leader, Ali Kellogg, with the ball ricocheting off Pascal Gauzère. And for a second there, he'd given the scrum to Ulster. Because he knocked on, he was playing for Glasgow there, you see that. That's where he made the mistake.
He took a good angle actually, but I think he had something in his hand. It's called a whistle, so he couldn't catch the ball. Well, we talked an awful lot about Alistair Kellogg having an influence on this game. He was at the base of that ruck. He's been speaking to his players while Josh Strauss is down there. And ultimately, it's about how the players respond to Kellogg's captaincy.
Well, Ulster would be very happy tonight with 2 home wins in the pool here at Ravenhill, and the Saints to beat Castor without a bonus point in the East Midlands. Then Ulster could really start thinking about the promised land of the knockout stages, whether here or away from home. And remember, last season they won away in the quarter-finals at Munster, down at Thomond Park. Was another early engagement for Glasgow, and that's not the first time they've been pinged for that particular infringement in this game.
And again, on Murray Lowe's tight head side, it was on the other side of the scrum, the number 3 jersey for Glasgow, and Pienaar going high again.
Again, launching it with tremendous trajectory on the ball. This is Paddy Jackson, and it's Chris Henry now taking the ball up. Ulster's captain in the absence of Muller, and then Nick Williams. He always gets you a few meters, and it's Jackson. He puts the ball straight into hand, and then he manages to get the charge down, and there's an offside. And Pyrgos trying to put some pace and some tempo on the game there for Glasgow.
Yeah, again, that sort of indicative situation where the kick is rushed. It can't. Glasgow are unable to relieve any of the pressure when the ball does fall in their favour.
Offside, yeah.
Rob Harley is the player who's injured here, who scored a try against Samoa in his Scotland debut in June. 1 cap to his name. There may be more to add, you never know, during the upcoming Six Nations, not too far away now. He was the Glasgow captain actually during the World Cup when Ali Kellogg was away with Scotland. Playing on without Harley as Dougie Hall finds Ryder. Kellogg and Glasgow beginning to get a little bit more control than they had in the first half up front. Through that mauling game, in comes Nick Williams. Now it's Jared Payne. Payne looks to get past Eddie and does. He rolls away from him well. Now Paddy Jackson. There is an opportunity here for some width, and here is Paddy Wallace. Pienaar. Robbie Dyack.
That's right.
Remember, no Stephen Ferris in this Ulster side. He's out long-term injured, and Glasgow have done very well there. The first thing they did was nab Pienaar, and as a result of all that, they've won the penalty. Excellent marauding work.
Yeah, it was Paddy Jackson who came in from an offside position to give away the penalty.
Well, there is Stephen Ferris. He was back after a back injury, then he suffered an ankle problem which has required surgery, and there is no time frame as yet for his comeback.
Number 7, Rob Harley, replaced by number 20, Tim Swinson, after 48 minutes.
The replacement on for Glasgow is Tim Swinson. And they're down in terms of natural back row replacements as well as front row replacements tonight, Scotty.
Yeah, there'll be real concern if a prop forward goes off for this Glasgow team. Of course, they've only got 22 players listed and able to list another prop because they, quite frankly, don't have any. Duncan Weir then, opportunity. Missed 2 in the first half. Can he nail this one for Glasgow?
One was short, one was hooked, And this one splices the posts. And at last, Glasgow have managed to get themselves on the board. And that's reward from some better forward play in the second half.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was here for the opening game of the season between these two teams, and it was Ulster who ran away with the early part of the game. Glasgow crawled themselves back, and then suddenly 2 mistakes, 18 points to 10. Glasgow just have to stay patient.
Well, Paddy Jackson's either having a nightmare with those restarts or he's doing it on purpose. But they've gone 10 both times. So it may be a ploy. Pyrgos. And here's Gilroy. Tried to sell the dummy, but Dougie Hall wasn't buying it.
Okay.
Pinar flips it out to Chris Henry, who often stands at first receiver for Ulster. This is Jackson. He's setting himself straight away for the kick. And in comes Murchie, and he had a bit more time on that occasion, Peter Murchie, and did well. Here's Weir, using the strong, booming right boot of Duncan Weir there.
That's better play by Duncan Weir. He managed to get time on the ball to absolutely nail his kick. Great take by Peter Murchie. Duncan Weir called for it. Glasgow suddenly got a little bit more territory to play with.
Slight concern, perhaps, on the faces of Mark Anscombe and David Humphreys.
Well, you would say the game's sort of in the balance a wee bit. Glasgow have certainly come out a little bit stronger after half-time. Really important, crucial point of the game. Who scores next will dictate which way the game goes.
Rory Best, they won the line out eventually. Not by the means they might have hoped for, but they have the ball. Here's Henry. Pinar. Now Gilroy is after this one. Look at the weight and height on that ball. Maitland does well to take it. And Ulster coming in from the side there, says Monsieur Gazer, penalty to Glasgow. And Tom Court again, he's been penalised a couple of times.
Well, Sean Maitland did well there. Look at him nodding in approval here. Super box kick here from the scrum half, Ruan Pinar for Ulster. But Maitland, he was under pressure, but look how he stayed inside. Knew Gilroy was up. Any youngster watching this, that's excellent play by Maitland to stay inside. Well, there was a little foot that went over there on the whitewash, so Maitland was lucky there not to go touch.
He's the cousin of Quade Cooper, Sean Maitland, you know, who's about to make his boxing debut on the undercard of Sonny Bill Williams. And Danny Grucock, I believe, is fighting Vitaly Klitschko. Klitschko already making excuses. Northampton have taken the lead at Franklin's Gardens against Castra, and that's actually the result, if it stays like that, that Ulster would quite like. Because it would leave the pool like that, with Ulster 5 points clear of Northampton, and Ulster ahead of Northampton on match points, the head-to-head by 6-4.
Too many penalties against your team, man. A few minutes.
Dougie Hall was the injured player there, the 32-year-old Glasgow hooker.
Well, I think Hall's done well for Glasgow this season. And Pat MacArthur comes on as he is on, is he? Yes, he is. Pat MacArthur then off the bench, replacing Dougie Hall, who took a knock there.
So the Scottish international is on the field for the Scottish side, and again they've enjoyed deploying this maul in the second half. Pyrgos. Now it's Glasgow's turn to chase and Ulster's turn to defend. Huge number of up and unders and long kicks, high kicks, all sorts of kicks in this game. And Pinar with a flatter, lower, more squirty variety on that occasion.
Yeah, great awareness from Pinar. He asked the referee, did Craig Gilroy take that in the 22? But undoubtedly the tactic for Glasgow is that drive down the front, Pyrgos with the box kick. They're now looking to put Craig Gilroy under pressure on that far side. Gilroy didn't catch the ball, and look at those wet conditions.
Well, those effective balls by Glasgow, they've all come down that far tram line so far in this second half. And Ali Kellogg, the mastermind in this Glasgow pack.
Again, it'll be interesting here. Will Pyrgos go back in for that box kick, or will Glasgow try and pick and drive now?
Well, this maul has worked superbly well in this second half for Glasgow, and they've got a penalty from it as well. Now, is Pascal Gozer going to go to his pocket this time?
Your tackle not rolling away. It's yellow card, okay?
Tackler not rolling away, and it's Ian Henderson who was yellow carded towards the end of the game at Franklin's Gardens, who's carded for the second time in these pool stages.
Well, again, if I was Alistair Kellogg, I'll kick up the tram lines here, kick the ball out of touch. You're a man up in the ascendancy from the line. That is exactly what Duncan Weir's doing. And suddenly this game just not quite going the Ulster way. Ian Henderson then, look at him. He's got to make an effort to get out the way. It's not quick enough. And the referee's given him a yellow card. Is this the turning point in the game?
Well, there is the sense of a sea change in the game. Ulster conceding 6 penalties in this second half, and now a man in the bin for 10 minutes. The question is, can Glasgow take full advantage of it and chip away at that 7-point Ulster lead? And again, it's the maul. At the moment, Ulster have no answer to it. Trundling and driving. Sean Maitland has joined that one to help out his forwards. Lumpy New Zealand winger that he is. Pyrgos finds Ryan Grant. And Ulster have lost a grip of this game at the moment. And Glasgow, no question about it, forcing their way back into it and forcing their way into the Ulster 22. This is James Eddy. So now Ulster's turn to make the tackles. And there's an offside coming here, and it's right underneath the posts. It's Ali Kellogg in possession. Pyrgos puts it into the corner for Murchie's one of the chasers. Jared Payne takes that, calls for the mark, but the referee, of course, is going to bring them back for this eminently kickable penalty.
Well, Pyrgos knew exactly that the referee was going to give the penalty, so he was aware of the fact that if this kick didn't work out, and straight away Kellogg just turned to the referee and to Duncan Weir, kick it between the posts, and as you can see, 76% of possession the last 10 minutes has suddenly given Glasgow something in this game that they never even got close to in the first half. So great awareness by the Glasgow captaincy, and obviously those were the words in the changing room at half-time from forwards coach Shane Munro and Gregor Townsend, the head coach.
Well, Glasgow's last away win in the Heineken Cup was against the Dragons, round 6 in 2011, and they're getting closer to an away win here, which of course would derail Ulster's chances of qualifying for the quarter-finals. There'd be no guarantee of getting there at all.
Well, Mark, a little bit of nervousness in this home crowd, and obviously young Mr. Humphreys there looking on as well with Mark Anscombe. And imagine if Duncan Weir had put over his first 2 half penalties and that score line was 12-10. It's not though, and Pienaar kicks off deep.
The Ulster mojo has evaporated just a little bit in this second period, in the first 16 minutes of it. This is Jared Payne. Again, it's that kicking option, and Trimble is off after this one. Duncan Weir takes it and then swivels away, and that wasn't the kick that he intended. You could hear the squeal from him as the ball left his boot.
Now there's a cheer from the Ravenhill crowd. Kick goes up. Now Weir panicked a little bit here. He had a man outside him. The pass could have been on there to Peter Horn, who was outside him on the right of your picture there. Weir just panicked a little bit. And Rory Best, well, can he bring some calm to the proceedings? Can he tidy up the line out?
And he's just the man, former Ireland captain. There's Robbie Dyack, who's been pretty good in the line out so far today, and again it's Dyack who is the target. Now can Ulster get their maul going? Well, not just yet, because Glasgow are disrupting well in there. They're disrupting very well, in fact, disrupting brilliantly. And that was a great little steal. Was that Paddy Jackson who came in there and took the ball? Now it's Pienaar. Trimble's off after this one again. DTH van der Merwe's underneath this one, and he gets away well from Trimble. In comes Nick Williams. Scoops the ball off this muddy turf. Here's Pienaar, now Lewis Stevenson. Pienaar needs some territory, needs some ball just to calm things down here at Ravenhill. Find some composure. Pienaar. Cross comes Murchie. He's going to have to play this one. Up comes Trimble.
Move back! Move!
And that's going to bounce favourably for Glasgow.
Well, Murchie did well there. He was put under pressure and squeeze on the kick. Paddy Jackson, incidentally, just limping there when he seemed to steal the ball. As
Captain.
Well, it was Tim Swinson, I think, who nicked it here. Down on the ball goes Swinson. In comes Paddy Jackson. Just seemed to twist his, was it his ankle or his knee? I think it was his ankle. Well, that's a blow. That is a blow for Ulster if Jackson's going to have to go off, but Pienaar no doubt will go to 10.
Well, Paul Marshall comes on, and Shane Horgan and Tony Ward are going to get their wish, are they? Well, Paddy Jackson feels he can continue, but that knee doesn't look particularly stable at the moment. And it's Ali Kellick who gets his hand to the ball on the line-out. This is Pyrgos. Up goes Nick Williams. DTH van der Merwe looked like the ball came off his arm there as he tried to gather. And that's Pienaar. Duncan Weir is back there. There's no real Ulster chase on this one, so Duncan Weir has all the time that he needs. And Paddy Jackson still limping gingerly. As you would with ginger hair, I suppose. But I think it's only a matter of time. Yeah, Paul Marshall is now coming on, and Roger Wilson is on too, the former Northampton number 800 games for the Saints and over 100 for Ulster. But of course Pienaar will go to 10, so now Shane Horgan and Tony Ward do get their wish to see Marshall and Pienaar as the 9 and 10 partnership.
Well, Mark, a key influence on the game now. This young man Marshall, great little scrum half. Can he tidy up things and work this game with Pienaar now back in the armchair of the fly half position? Ulster just lost control in that third quarter. They need to get back on their game plan in this final quarter if they're to ride out this.
Paul Marshall, unlike Pienaar before him from scrum half, gets a lot of height on that kick. Beautiful box kick by Marshall, taken by Trimble. Now Henry drives into Strauss, and Strauss drives him back. So good work by the South African number 8. Here's Pienaar, now Paddy Wallace, and it's the strength of Darren Cave, his centre partner, utilised there. Pienaar looks up, sees the space, finds it. Well, that's not going to run to the goal line, so Murchie is forced to play it. He says the ball was touched in flight there.
Well, Paul Marshall's already added a zip to this Ulster performance. First of all, his box kick to Trimble, and then he released the pass off the back of Trimble, putting the ball on the deck. The forwards cleared, and Marshall zipped the ball away to Pienaar. But Pienaar, his way he mops up and reads the situation for Ulster.
Paul Marshall, who got married last week, the little Ulster scrum half, and this is quite a way to spend your honeymoon in the rain at Ravenhill. But the wife's delighted. Rory Best. Marshall flicks it out to Nick Williams. Going to use his ballast. And now here's Andrew Trimble. Almost 16 stones of his strength as well. And this is better from Ulster. Rory Best takes it on. I think at this stage Ulster just want to get some points on the board. Start to feel a little bit better about themselves. with just a minute and a half to go on Ian Henderson's yellow card. Well, the ball did squirt back there on the Glasgow side at some pace, and that's usually a sign that there were some hands in there, and this time it's Ulster's chance from underneath the posts with a penalty.
Well, Marshall again with a fast release of the pass. Williams offloaded to Trimble. Now a hand must have come in here. It might have been Josh Strauss, was it? But the way that ball popped out, well, it's almost committing Harry-Carry, isn't it? Releasing a ball like that. William tugs over the ball. There must have been a hand that comes in at this contact area.
So Pienaar just misses the digger behind the posts. But Ulster really having to dig in this second half. It's not what they hoped for, maybe not what they expected in the second 40. But they've got 3 points, and that in itself will be a relief.
Well, Ulster won't want to look at that third period of 20 minutes when Glasgow got themselves back in the game. A little bit of a let-off there on the back of the final seconds of the yellow card that saw Ian Henderson sit out the last 10 minutes.
Oh, of course, Nick Williams with a bobbing head, one of that, the characteristic movement from Nick Williams. Another great box kick, Gilroy underneath it, hit by Maitland, and that is going to be a penalty at the very least, you would feel. And will Gazer think of some more punishment here? Both players seem to be hurt in that collision.
Well, it'll be interesting watching this one, Mark, whether both players attempted to go for the ball. The crowd on the far side seemed to suggest that Sean Maitland had gone for Gilroy as he jumped for the ball.
Let's see if it was a 50-50 attempt to gather the ball in the air from another exceptional kick. Well, they're both going for the ball there, Scotty, aren't they?
Sean Maitland's, both his feet were off the ground. Maitland just didn't quite get his jump higher than Gilroy. That's why Gilroy appears to have injured his opposite number.
Well, as those two wingers are treated for those injuries, the latest score from Pool 4 at Franklin's Gardens, Northampton 12 now, Castres 6, and just to confirm that is a result that suits Ulster well. Remember, they're ahead of Northampton on those match points from the head-to-head. So 2 home wins without a bonus point for Northampton suits Ulster, and look what it does for them. It qualifies them for the quarterfinals if it stays this way. Well, he has given the penalty there against Maitland. Both players focused on the ball.
Well, Sean Maitland's done nothing wrong there, and unfortunately the referee has got that call wrong.
Well, it did seem to be a very genuine attempt by both players to take this kick.
Both feet are off the ground. There's nothing wrong with that. That is part and parcel of the game of rugby union. And both players are back up. Yes, they'll be a bit sore. But Ulster now with some territory down towards that Glasgow 22.
And restored to 15 players as well, with Ian Henderson back from the bin. Oh, Nick Williams has gone off. And that is a very, very worrying sight for this Ulster team. And another worrying sight is the loss of the line-out, but there was a knock-on there by Maitland. So Ulster, relief for them, are going to get the put into the scrummage. But with Williams going, Ulster now beginning to hemorrhage the spine of their team. With Ferris gone, Tui gone, Johan Muller gone, Tommy Bowe gone. And if that's a serious injury to Nick Williams, well, that's big trouble.
Well, Sean Maitland had a wicked pass there. And there's Nick Williams. Well, he seemed to be, he limped off.
Paddy Jackson's got a huge amount of wadding and plaster on that right ankle of his. So if Ulster do manage to hang on to the victory here, they could have a lot of problems injury-wise going forward. It's not looking good in the infirmary.
Well, there's a wee bit of ice. Well, you would have thought it was cold enough here at Ravenhill without adding more ice, but thankfully the rain has stopped. The game is as intense as it was from the very first minute.
Again early. My goodness. Many times have they been pinged for that now, Glasgow.
Well, I think Ulster should scrum again, and they do. But Murray Lowe, well, he's been penalised a few times.
Looked like they both went early, actually. Good drive by Ulster. Roger Wilson now at number 8. They are demolishing the Glasgow scrummage there, and the penalty was absolutely inevitable.
Well, Ulster will go for another scrum.
Well, they've decided to go for the post. I wonder if there's any news filtering through from up there about the Northampton game, and Ulster knowing that just getting the win here will qualify them for the quarter-finals. It's a 7-point game here at Ravenhill, and it's a 3-point game at Franklin's Gardens. A penalty from Rory Cockett, Castra's top scorer this season. He scored about two-thirds of their points. So what tension in this pool, and huge tension for Pienaar with this kick to make it a 2-score game. Oh, in the context of Ulster's progression in the Heineken Cup, that was a big one, and Pienaar for once hasn't delivered.
Well, that was a massive call by Pienaar, wasn't it? The fact is they just demolished a scrum. He opted not to re-scrum. He went for the penalty. He's missed the penalty. 13 minutes to go, and Ulster are full of nerves here at Ravenhill. There's enough time. Ulster have to stay patient.
Fans don't look too patient, they look petrified. Gordon Reid is on for Ryan Grant. That's their only replacement prop forward. Oh, and Ian Henderson has let that one slip, but fortunately it slipped backwards, and Gilroy in possession now. Here's Marshall. Pienaar. Sean Maitland's had a lot of work to do in a defensive mode on that right wing for Glasgow tonight. Turgos. Well played by Gilroy. And off goes Henry again. Marshall, Pienaar, hands this time. Here's Wallace, and he drops it to the toe. And across comes replacement, Stuart Hogg, the Scottish international fullback, good man to have on the bench. Now Jared Payne. Hogg chasing. DTH van der Merwe, and Pienaar was looking to pounce on them, and Foa manages to get his hands to the ball there. So keeping Glasgow in their half here. Back to Hogg, and the semi-charge down from Ruan Pienaar.
Well, some of the kicking on the release kicking of pressure from Glasgow has not been good enough today. Pienaar put pressure on there. And again, the swing and ebb, Northampton nicking another penalty there.
Pat MacArthur, and he finds Kellock. Must be quite nice to be a 6'9" line out forward. This is Pyrgos. Andrew Trimble. Pyrgos. He's done pretty well there, Pyrgos. Marshall looked to take it quickly, but Pat MacArthur had come up quickly, the replacement hooker, to block the route.
Well, Henry Pyrgos has had an excellent game, but Glasgow with 10 minutes on the clock. They need something magic to happen, and they're just about to make it a sub. Now keep an eye on this guy called Nicola Matawalu, the Fijian signing for Glasgow. If there's a player that can do things, he almost did it down in Castra, but this guy can turn on a sixpence and he can make things happen. But Pyrgos has played an excellent game. He's box kicked well in the second half, but Matawalu, can Glasgow get back in and tie this game with a converted try? Or have Ulster got the concentration right, and can they see out this game?
Matawalu, Fiji Sevens player. He scored a try against England in November, and yeah, he was superb down at the Pierre Stade Antoine in the previous round. Made a couple of searing breaks against Castra.
Interesting, Alistair Kellock's pinched a couple of line-out balls in this second half. Will they want to put pressure on this throw?
Rory Best finds Stevenson, penalty Ulster, and that will suit them just fine as they enter the final 10 minutes here. You just feel the way this game is unfolding that one more score from Ulster might just be enough to seal the 4 points here.
Yeah, and Glasgow giving away an easy penalty and then the territory. It just plays into Ulster's hands as the clock ticks down.
Well, he's mistouched there. Pienaar and Van der Merwe has the opportunity to touch it down. Games between these sides so often tight. It's actually 5 years since Ulster beat Glasgow with a try bonus point. They are usually dog fights between these Celtic cousins. And that is straight out of play, and again that suits Ulster just fine.
Well, it was quite interesting. Just as all the forwards went along to the left of your picture there, if Weir had stopped and kicked to his left, there was acres of space down this near side. But it's that type of error that has cost Glasgow this game potentially. Watch Kellock there, isn't he a wonderful captain? Giving advice, getting the hit right in the second row. He knows Murray Lowe's under pressure in this scrum.
Glasgow Warriors, I wonder what they named after Kellock, because he is just that. There's the surge from Ulster, and it's Roger Wilson who picks up. Here is Marshall, round the corner comes Lewis Stevenson. And Ulster looking for the comfort blanket of extra points, and it's Ian Henderson who just can't wriggle his ankle free there from the despairing Glasgow tackle. Here is Marshall. Oh, and a bit of indecision there amongst Ulster, but it hasn't gone forward. Now Marshall, here's Jared Payne, and Jared Payne, how does he do it? He just has that ability to ghost away from defenders. The dummy was bought, and that should be good enough for Ulster to qualify for the quarter-finals if Northampton can hang on at Franklin's Gardens.
Well, it's been a great second half of ebb and flow in this game. The third quarter, Ulster weren't in the game, but they've come back, and Jared Payne, he plays with such confidence and such awareness around him when he's got ball in hand. But for me, Marshall was influential as well as Wilson. Taking on, getting the hard yards. Marshall, well, there was a bit of mix-up here because the running lines weren't good enough from Tom Court. But he was patient, watched the fullback. He knew exactly where the space was, but it was Marshall who gave him the pass. And Dietrich van der Merwe just took the dummy, went wide. And delight from the Ravenhill crowd.
Well, it's a 7th try of the season for the crucial Jared Payne at fullback. Another magnificent signing for Ulster. Missed all of last season with an Achilles injury, and now Ruan Pienaar as he found the range and accuracy this time. Range was fine, not the accuracy. But at 18 points to 6 with 5 minutes to go, that should be that.
Well, Marshall, he's made a difference since he's been on. But the awareness of Payne to go over the line is the difference. And when you consider that it was Duncan Weir who put the 22 dropper under pressure, and Ulster had the scrum on the 22, they capitalised on the Glasgow error.
Well, Ulster now have got a very powerful sniff of a quarter-final place here. This is Marshall. And that's Matawalu. He's played on the wing as well as scrum half for Glasgow this season. Ian Henderson intercepts this time, offloads to Henry. Suspicion of forward there. And the referee says it was. And as it stands, Ulster have qualified for the quarter-finals. 15-9 is the score at Franklin's Gardens.
1, 2, 3.
Well, Matawalu flies one back in. He's a forward pass here. Well, there's on from Ian Henderson into the hands of Chris Henry.
Another replacement coming on for Ulster, Michael Allen. And Rory Best is off as well, so Rob Herring will come on for the last 4 minutes.
Set! It's my fault. Scrum again.
Entirely new front row for Ulster now, because Callum Black is on and Declan Fitzpatrick is back after a concussion problem. He's had a few long-term injuries, Fitzpatrick, so good to see him back in the tight head side from an Ulster perspective.
Crutch! Touch! Set! Use it!
Matawalu goes in and tries to sneak a route down that blind side, uses Maitland in support. Matawalu feeds it out. Peter Horne puts the kick through, and back goes score of that very significant second try, Jared Payne. Ulster had their problems in the first 20-25 minutes of this second half, when Glasgow really did begin to get a firm grip on this game through their forwards. And that's Horne who clears. Scotty Hastings, your Heineken man of the match.
Well, it's been a real team performance from Ulster. Chris Henry's been outstanding in the back row. Ruan Pienaar as well. The way he's manipulated the game, both at scrum half and at fly half. But my man of the match is, my Heineken man of the match is that man there, Tom Court. All the damage has been done in the scrum. He's had his opposite number under absolute toast, and that was Murray Lowe. He won't want to remember this game, Murray Lowe, but Tom Court outstanding in the scrum. One for the forwards tonight.
Matawalu waiting. Matawalu finds Josh Strauss, and Lewis Stevenson trying to hold him up off the ground there with the help of Chris Henry. And here is Pienaar, and now it's Darren Cave. Has Darren Cave got the pace to seal the game, and maybe a quarter-final most definitely for this Ulster side. And now the Ulster team have become the loud assassins again at Ravenhill after their dodgy patch at the start of the second period.
Well, wonderful opportunist try here for Ulster. It was turnover and again, but didn't Cave do well. But just as we watch this try, great reading and thinking here from this Ulster team. They've declined the opportunity to convert the try on the basis that they want the ball back and they want to score a fourth try. They want that bonus point.
Well, can they get it? They've got maybe one more play here of Ulster. Didn't bother with a conversion into the final 30 seconds. An intercept would do Ulster, and Andrew Trimble is just the man for that. He was the one who picked the ball up there. Here's Marshall. He's got all that pace and sniping ability. He's shown it before against Leicester in the past, Castor in this season's competition. Roger Wilson. Final 15 seconds. Marshall, Declan Fitzpatrick. Marshall. And here is Pienaar, and he's put the ball into the corner here, and time's up. Well, that is surely an error from Pienaar. Is the referee going to allow another play? He's not. He's not. That's it. Well, Ulster surely had to keep the ball in hand there, Scotty.
Well, that was bizarre. There's been a couple of interesting decisions from Ruan Pienaar. Maybe he thought there was an extra minute, but they declined the conversion of that final try by Darren Clave. But let's not take anything away from Ulster. They've had to fight every inch of the way against this Glasgow team, who clawed themselves back into the game after being 10-0 down. They took the scoreline to 10 points to 6, and then a couple of late tries by Jared Payne and Darren Cave shed some light, but they've qualified for the Heineken Cup. And Mark, it has been a game that had intrigue throughout the full 80 minutes.
So do the construction men up the tempo in their efforts to build enough of new Ravenhill to facilitate a home quarter final. But extra security in Castra next week is needed. But Ulster have done what they had to do here tonight. They've managed to get 3 tries in the process, and they have seen off Glasgow.
And the home side finish with a bit of a flourish, and it is job done. And in round 5, that will feel pretty good for Ulster, but you feel tonight that, given the high standards they've set themselves this season, there will be 1 or 2 things that need to be worked upon. However, they are through, and next week